But we did a little recce, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Didn't we? And that's amazing because one of the things about exploring the countryside is that you always get lost, you know? And it's never my fault because I'm lost. You know, so that's okay.
Amama Tuba is the new-ish president of Ramblers.
Really newish. Just over a year now.
And therefore, we thought it would be a good idea to meet up with you to do a rambling, to come to Nidderdale, which is not just my favourite place in the country, I think one of my favourite places in the world, in West Yorkshire. And it's an area I know relatively well because I've done the whole of the Nidderdale Way, and we did a whole series based around it. So I might come across folks I know, but certainly places I've been before.
I know, and the locals that I met said, oh, we know Claire. No, you don't want to do that, what Claire's done. It was quite hard to find somewhere that you hadn't actually been.
Well, I'm very grateful to you for trying. So we will head off from the car park and we're going to come back here. Circular walk, is it?
Yes, it's going to be a circular walk, hopefully 3 to 3.5 hours.
Come on then, you lead the way.
Okay.
Lead Raya. Raya lead the way. So you have a sighted guide.
Got a sighted guide here, Raya. Raya's amazing. Aren't you, Raya?
Thank you. I just say I am amazing. Just accept it. So yeah, thanks.
So we're going to be walking along here just for a few minutes. So there's the sound of the roads, but soon it's going to be peaceful.
Raya and Emma are walking ahead of me, with Emma holding Raya's elbow. It's quite a narrow cut path through the longer grass, and on the right is a low stone wall, and beyond it, just this massive stretch of rolling moorland landscape with the odd building remotely placed that almost, certainly that one over there looks deserted, but farm buildings essentially. And rising on the left is a mound beyond which I can see only sky. And Steve, you're the local, and you just said to me, was I technically not correct in calling us being in West Yorkshire now?
West Yorkshire's more like the conurbations of Leith, Bradford, Halifax, that sort of area. This used to be the West Riding. Paisley Bridge down at the bottom of the hill there used to be in the West Riding, but when they changed it, everything round here became North Riding.
So we are in North Yorkshire therefore.
We are, yes, not North Riding. No, it isn't a riding anymore, sadly. Yes, North Yorkshire.
We've crossed the main road and we've come onto a lovely country track. Ahead of us, the land drops down and it's intersected by these dry stone walls. It's really fascinating how the land folds into each other and across on the other side of the hill. It's a mosaic of colour, of pale yellow, slightly darker green. The shadows that are cast by the clouds as well make it feel as if it is moving. It's the most gorgeous day because it's not too hot. There's a breeze behind our backs now. Emma, what do you sense and what do you feel when you're walking, and particularly here? Why here?
Well, Nidderdale is one of my favourite places because it's a little bit out of the way, and there's not many places in the UK that you can go where you're in silence, you know, and when you're blind and living in a city, this is what I desire, you know, I desire peace and being in nature and, you know, feel the sun on my back. Your beautiful descriptions help to paint the pictures visually. It's just like a truly sensory experience.
Is Raya, as well as guiding you, does Raya help in that sense of telling you what is around to be seen so that you can enjoy the view?
Absolutely, and I'm hoping that somewhere in this journey you can guide me.
You are putting a lot of faith in me, but I'd be happy to try.
Would you?
Yeah.
Have you guided a blind person before?
No.
I feel honoured. Just let me know when you're ready, mentally.
You did some extraordinary things and have done in your life, and I want to ask you first sort of where you are now and the decision to become president of the Ramblers, because that's not a paid job, that's a voluntary job, isn't it?
Yes, it is a voluntary job. I mean, I'm really honoured that the Ramblers came to me last year and asked me if I wanted to take up this position. And I guess it just made so much sense because in my life, being blind, you know, you're refused access to a lot of things. You know, people say no all the time, and to have the opportunity to open up, you know, nature for thousands of people just really appealed to me. I guess what I want to achieve is once my 10 years come to an end, I want to make sure that I've made a difference. And you know, because I'm from an Asian background, you know, my parents didn't think that walking was a thing that they wanted to do. It wasn't that they were excluded, it was just like they came from Pakistan. They had 3 kids that are blind, they had lots of other things to deal with, so we were never introduced to walking. So it's people like that, and also people that may be challenged with mobility. You've got a whole spectrum. You've got people in wheelchairs that struggle, so sometimes you've got specialist wheelchairs that can go off-road, but the thing that stops them isn't the terrain, it's sometimes the styles, the man-made things, you know. And of course, my blind community, you know, our challenges aren't that we can't walk on challenging terrain. Our challenges are that if you're blind, it's hard to get out there on your own. You know, you need a sighted person with you, and so I guess we've started on that journey. The Ramblers leaders I've created a video to enable them to know how to guide a blind person, you know, if they come to your Ramblers group. And I went on a few rambling walks, and it was just amazing. You know, initially people think, oh my god, a blind person has just turned up, you know, and it's just making people feel comfortable. I think that's the main thing.
I should mention Stephen is also with us from the Ramblers. What was the background? Because I always knew it as the Ramblers Association.
The Ramblers a few years ago made the decision to become a charity rather than just a membership organisation, and that change has really come to the fore with the appointment of Amar as president, and it signals the direction that the Ramblers wants to go in, which is we have a reputation of being groups of middle-aged and older people going out for a walk, enjoying the countryside, and that's great. But as Amar was saying, we have a lot of people who don't have such easy access to enjoy the countryside the way that the rest of us do. And becoming a charity, the Ramblers is now really focused on broadening that access and making the countryside and open spaces within urban areas more accessible to people who, whether for cultural reasons or because of disabilities or just lack of funds, don't find it as easy to get out and about as others of us do.
You spotted in the lack of holidays designed for anyone who was blind, or indeed the exclusion of you and your community from certain adventures or challenges, you spotted a business opportunity. So what did you do?
I did, and it was a bit like why I wanted to be the president of Ramblers. I mean, you know, when I lost my sight, I had 2 problems. You know, the first was the obvious one, that I was blind. But secondly, I realised I hadn't seen much of the world, and I was damned if I was going to let blindness stop me from seeing it. But when I approached mainstream group travel companies, I faced rejection. You know, they said that I couldn't book onto a group holiday unless I brought somebody with me, and I definitely couldn't book onto anything adventurous. Like I couldn't go on walking holidays or skiing holidays or sailing holidays, and that left me feeling like powerless and blind. So I realised that we only have one life, and if you want something that doesn't exist, you've got to build it yourself. So I set up the world's first international tour operator that takes groups of blind and fully sighted people on holiday.
And you called it Travel Eyes?
Yes, it's called Travel Eyes, and most of the people that come on the trips, they don't know each other, and that's part of the fun. So yeah, each day we partner a sighted traveller with a different visually impaired person, or VIP as I like to be called, and in return for guiding and describing and showing their eyes, they travel for a reduction in price. That's the model.
And has it been successful?
Oh, it's been incredible. I mean, I knew that blind people would love it because I felt that there was a gap in the market, huge gap. As a blind person, you couldn't travel. But what I hadn't realised was why sighted people would come on the trips. And what I've soon realised is that sighted people come on the trips and they start seeing the world in such a different way. Because I don't know about you, but most sighted people in my idea is that they take pictures and move on. But when you've got a blind person, you can't just do that. You've got to, you've got to engage with what's in front of you, and they love that. And they say that they return home with much more vivid memories of what they can see. And actually, talking of what we can see, Claire, I heard something to the right. Was that your stomach, or was that something?
I was thinking to myself, shall I try and guide you now, and I'll tell you exactly what's around us.
Great.
Shall I do that? So what do I need to do?
So basically, I'll take your left arm, so I can hold it. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Cool. And if it gets narrow, you just move your arm behind you,
Okay.
and I'll squeeze them behind you. And otherwise, you don't need to tell me about every nut and cranny that we're passing, because I've got size 11 feet.
Well, I've noticed you're very, very certain on your feet as well. I thought, gosh, does Raya not have to say it's very uneven and it's dipping away to the right? And she didn't say any of that, and you didn't even, you were turning around talking to me and still walking straight ahead.
Yeah.
It's kind of like being a guide dog. I've learned to, through like micro movements, as in just a slight pause, and I knows that something's coming up.
A slight flick of your hip, Claire, and I'll be off to that side.
So yeah, if I just step, for example, I don't say step up, foot down, unless it's really obvious, I'll pause and I'll pick up the stick.
Okay. Shorn and very tightly shorn, so they're bright white, they look clean as anything, and the lambs are really fat and hairy.
Really?
Yeah, but they're pure white. The odd one's got a black face,
Yeah.
but they're still feeding. This poor ewe here is being attacked now by two lambs that are nearly as big as her, and
Wow.
I don't think she wants that.
I must be hungry.
Yes.
Say I'm nearly being superseded though by AI.
Oh,
So my descriptions, I'm getting better. However, AI seems to have taken over now.
AI is so good, so Raya's correct. So now, Raya can't just make it up. So like when we're stood at a beautiful vista, I'm not saying that she does, but like she'll describe it and then I'll say, oh, do you mind if I pull my phone out? So then I load up this app, you take a picture, and then within a few seconds it will describe to you
no way.
much better than a human being. Of course, you don't have the warmth and friendliness of a human being, and of course, the AI can't guide me through the countryside, so I've still got to be nice to them.
Do you want to try that app then?
Yes, let's try the app. I just hope we've got internet connection.
With classic insecurity, I'm thinking, I hope this app is fluttering.
This is what my phone reads. The picture shows a woman, that's so, standing on a grassy hillside. She has short, light brown hair.
It's quite long, actually, but anyway.
Probably not.
Maybe it's
Can't
not looking very
compete with
bright at the moment.
And is wearing a black V-necked t-shirt and light coloured pants.
Yes.
Very dashing. She is smiling and has her hands on her hips.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a cool pose. Is that what you normally do?
No.
Oh,
Well,
right.
I am standing here like it now, but just because I'm on a slope, I think.
I'll see. The background features a scenic landscape with rolling hills, patches of green grass, and a partly cloudy sky. In the foreground, there is a large, fuzzy microphone.
It knew what it was!
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was very clever.
Suggesting that this might be part of a recording or interview, possibly rambling.
I've relaxed into the guiding role, probably too much. So I haven't said anything particularly. You can feel we're going downhill. It is a bit uneven. There's the odd rock in the way, but you're so sure-footed, and you're not grabbing onto me. You literally loosely got your arm through mine. Feels really nice. I think.
Yeah.
looks to me as if we're coming down into the mining area. Is that right, Steve?
This is copper mine.
We're listening to Ramblings on Radio 4 on BBC Sounds. I'm with Amal Latif. He's talking about his life and how he sees the world, and I use that verb deliberately. And we are in Nidderdale, in the middle of what would have been a really busy working mine. And there are sort of hints of it around. There are fragments of walls left behind, but also steel containers up on top of this mound, which I'm sort of thinking, is that a slag heap? And because it doesn't look natural, it looks man-made and very unstable. What were they mining here?
They're mining for lead here, and of course that had its problems. But yeah, they were mining for lead and used fire to explode the rocks. So it was quite a slow process. But now, it's forgotten.
The very easy wide path has now come to quite a fast-flowing brown stream.
How deep does it look?
Oh, it's not
Not very, and I think if you hit the middle, I'll go. No, it's not bad at all, actually.
Was it deeper than this last time, Steve? Was it? Oh yes, it was really high last time, Claire.
Yeah.
We had to swim across it.
Did you?
I was really worried about she goes, oh, but Claire, would she want to do this? Like, would she take her shoes off? I was like, I've read Claire's book. She's crazy. Jumping off.
How did you first come across each other then?
Oh, do you want to explain, Ryan?
I was invited to a gallery event in Leeds, and Emma happened to be there.
It was modern art, and
Abstract modern art.
abstract modern art. I was hearing Raya talking, and I was like, "Oh, excuse me, do you mind describing it to me?" And she said, "Yeah, sure," because every painting, I hope the artist isn't listening, it seemed like it was the same, and I wasn't quite getting it. But you did an incredible job, didn't you?
It was the same but different. They're all different variations of colours, but generally have the same shapes and configurations. So lots of squiggly lines and triangles, and it felt very boring to just keep saying, "Oh, there's like a cluster of triangles here. There's some cloud formations." So I resorted to creating a soundscape instead.
Tell Claire what it sounds like.
Yeah.
One of these
So
pieces.
the art to me sounded like the triangles were like, and they got wiggly lines, woo, woo, and then the dots, and then,
It's like circles of colour.
yeah, cloud.
I thought it was just so cool, and then we walked around with the different ones and although she'd used the same stuff, they were in different positions and stuff, and I was kind of like getting it with the sound in my own unique way,
I'm sure that wasn't the wrong.
Yeah.
We started to dip down and come into the shade of some really ancient oak trees, and the temperature has cooled. Now this will be an interesting obstacle for all of us actually, because there's a cattle grid, and it's got wide round rollers rather than square ones, and I always find the round ones a bit harder to walk across.
And this, Claire, is the Fairy Bridge that we're approaching. Suzanne, could you just explain why is this the Fairy Bridge?
I just think it looks like somebody's tended it, although it's wild, all the grass is nice and short, and all the wildflowers look as if they've been placed as if in a garden. So I think, well, maybe the fairies did it.
That's the stone bridge ahead of us, so we have to get over the cattle grid first. Although I did notice that Stephen just went through a gate without having to do the cattle grid at all, because he's a sensible walk leader. Oh, this is a really pretty stream. So we've got a stone bridge with big slabs of dark rock, and the stream rushing through but then falling into pools before it runs on again through the rocks, and the trees beautifully situated to the edge of the water. And you could almost use this as a beach, because there's such a lovely flat area of grass on the left there that you could sit there and sunbathe, and there's just the odd bits of froth on top of the water, but the water itself is the colour of coffee. It's really dark.
Wow, I loved your descriptions. And then, you know, on top of that, like listening to the sound of running water always makes me feel like really zen. Like it's almost like a natural reset for me. You know, I just love it. So we're almost back
At the car park.
at the car park, yeah. And then we're just gonna go up a few minutes to Coldstones Cut.
There's a massive bicycle up there. Is that a Hereford road race? In a
Yes.
few years back, they had the World Championships here.
Yes, so the gentleman that we're meeting, Richard Green, actually built it. Because when the Tour de France was happening, everybody was asked to do something.
It was when the Tour de France started in Yorkshire.
Yes.
Got it.
What does it look like?
Huge, big, filled-in wheels, like sort of 10 or 12 feet high, and I can just see the outline of the saddle and the handles.
So we're coming into the Coldstones Cut now. Just entering a walkway lined by two gradually rising walls with huge blocks of stone.
And straight ahead of us, I can hear some activity. And as we
hello.
approach here,
Someone's here to meet us in high orange mist.
Richard Green, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So
Yeah.
you're welcome
Hiya,
today.
nice to meet you.
Summer, nice to
Yeah,
meet you.
that-
God, you got big hands.
Oh my goodness, this is Ryan. Hiya, Ryan, nice to meet you.
So this is like one of the highest quarries in the UK. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And what are you borrowing?
So we're quarrying limestone. So it's carnivorous limestone is this. Yeah, we're quarrying that. Going through a lot of construction projects. We're going to Leeds, Bradford, all the major cities locally.
We're taking some photos of this, so if you want to have a look, find us on Instagram. It's @BeamRockets. It's a massive crater. I mean, probably, I'd say at least 400 metres long and 200 across, and it's probably bigger than that. So my eye might be shrinking it.
I can tell by the sound echolocation, Claire. I feel it's about 300 meters deep,
Yes.
and would that be about right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
See, when you're blind, you can sense these things. You know, it's not that I've done any research. You know.
Walking back through the cut, it creates the most beautiful frame for the view ahead. So you get